Chen. She is a professor of communication at CSU Channel Islands. Her teaching and research focus on health communication, strategic communication, and cross cultural communication. She has been a student, journalist, translator, public relations officer, and health communication expert on 3 continents. She uses her own diverse background to illustrate to students the many career paths that arise from studying communications. And our other presenter is Dr. Vicky Gomez. She is a professor of public health at San Jose State University. She has taught more than 1,500 service learning students since 2020 and received SJSU's Service Learning Faculty Award in 2023. Her students conduct community health promotion projects with numerous community organizations. The hands-on experience provides students with the opportunity to connect what they are learning in the classroom to durable skills that they will use in future careers. Vicky's scholarship also centers community. She is leading efforts to investigate and document the social and economic conditions affecting the Latina community in the Silicon Valley. So with that, I'm going to let Vicky take it away. Vicky will have 10 minutes to present. Nancy will have 10 minutes to present, and then we will open it up for Q&A.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today. As Andrea mentioned, I'm Vicky Gomez. I'm an associate professor at San Jose State University in the Department of Public Health. Learning by Doing, Service Learning and Community Health Promotion is a presentation about my experience teaching an upper division community health promotion course with a community service learning component over the past 8 years. In this course, we bridge lecture on community health promotion with community service learning placements in local community-based organizations. Students often learn concepts in isolation. This course connects them to real-world community health promotion needs. But what is community health promotion? It is a public health approach that improves the health and well-being of communities by addressing environmental, social, and economic factors. It empowers communities to take control of their health through education, disease prevention, and policy changes rather than focusing solely on individual clinical care. Oh, I guess maybe I should share my slides. That would have been that's a good place to start. How about that? Hold on. Minor detail. Okay, here we go. All right, Public Health 104 Community Health Promotion is a mostly in-person, synchronous upper division undergraduate course every single one of our public health students has to complete, and it is designed to build applied skills in community health promotion. Every academic year in our semester system, we place approximately 150 students in a variety of community-based organizations to gain hands-on community health promotion skills to promote health equity and improve community well-being. This course was a CSL course before I began teaching it. It has quite a legacy in our department because of all the work that has gone into placing students in a multitude of ways over the years under the guidance of different instructors. At one point, it was a health fair at a large flea market. Then connections were made with a nearby elementary school in San Jose where all students were placed in different projects within the school. When I came to SJSU in 2018, I had a different vision where I wanted students to be placed in a variety of local community-based organizations where students could get a diversity of community health promotion experience. Although we recently just completed the CSU Community Engagement Learning Tool for this course, there were many elements we were doing organically already. Over time, we have developed more reciprocal community partnerships with academically relevant community involvement that benefit both the preceptor and the students, while creating opportunities for students to critically reflect in their learning in this course. So what does this look like? Students work in small teams of approximately 5 to 7 students to foster collaboration, accountability, and shared problem solving. Some groups of students develop supportive relationships while others learn how to navigate complicated working relationships and how to deal with conflict in a learning environment that's a safe space. This mirrors the public health field as a majority of public health work is done in group settings. This is a visual with this is a visual of the community partnerships and placements that we have this semester alone. Each group partners with a community-based organization addressing real needs in the community. Over the years, we have created many partnerships with local community-based organizations to place our students to complete their CSL projects. At the beginning of the semester, We work with organizations that have been working with our students already to decide how many groups of students they'd like to take this semester and if there was any changes or feedbacks to address from either the student's perspective or the preceptor's perspectives. We are always looking for new community health promotion opportunities. So if an organization is new, we work with them to decide on what type of projects would work well within the scope and timeframe of this course. During the second week in the semester, we hold our class via Zoom to allow for all preceptors to present their projects where students can ask questions directly from the preceptors. Students then rank their top 5 choices in a Google form based on their schedule and interest, and then they are placed into a team based on these preferences. The student teams work directly with community partners to fill out a memorandum of understanding and complete the project in 10 weeks over the semester. Students have the opportunity to work in a diverse set of community settings at each of these placements, some of them being nonprofits, some of them being wellness centers, and clinic centers. These are real world projects where they are building practical skills. Projects include trauma informed workshop development and implementation for unhoused youth at family supportive housing, event planning and outreach at Breathe California for World COPD Day and the Breath of Life Walk, creation of health education materials and activities for National Public Health Week and YMCA's Healthy Kids Day, advocacy efforts at local community colleges to create anti smoking policies, also with Breathe California, work with middle school youth teaching about the harms of vaping with the YMCA and Stanford Tobacco Cessation collaboration, and learning the skills of creating podcasts and social media campaigns with Aki on healthy sexuality, relationships, and substance use, just to name a few of the projects over the years. So students are learning about community health inside and outside of the classroom. What this looks like in the classroom is that each week we have peer TAs who create icebreakers for the beginning of class to continue building community and building a safe learning environment. On Mondays, we have CSL days where everything is about their placement and developing professional skills such as teamwork, cultural humility, leadership, and professionalism. On Lecture Wednesdays, students learn about different units on community health promotion, including the language of community health, population health, application of the social ecological model and the spectrum of prevention, which we see here on the screen, the social context and the social determinants of health, professionalism and ethics in community health assessment, the development of community health promotion strategies, community organizing, and emerging trends in community health. Each week, students receive materials to review before lecture on Wednesday and submit before class notes to make sure they are ready to engage in class. After I lecture on the topic of the week, students get into their CSL groups where they combine the materials they reviewed for the week and the lesson they were just taught to then complete an in-class small group activity where they now apply those skills to an assignment. For an example, they will have learned about community asset maps in their materials to review and in class during lecture, but now it is their turn to create an asset map based on their CSL project together in class. This applied learning in both the classroom and in their placement really helps to broaden and deepen their understanding of community health promotion. Partnerships are designed to support both student learning and community needs. We want to make sure to assess both the student and the preceptors to see if there are any issues that need to be addressed to make sure there is a mutual benefit to both parties. Another important element of community service learning is learning through reflection. Structured reflection helps students connect experiences to academic concepts and make meaning of their experience. We check in with CSL groups regularly to see how students are progressing in their placements. For their final CSL project presentations, they include what lessons they learned in their placements that can be applied in their public health careers. And at the end of the semester, they also have to complete a final reflection asking them to more formally reflect on their CSL experience. As for the instructor in the course, it is my job to make sure the students are learning and doing community health promotion, that we have placements for students that provide a meaningful experience, that the material in class is relevant to what they are seeing in the world. I'm lucky to have been able to build a team over time. I now have another faculty member who supports me with the CSL part of the class, associate each semester that helps to evaluate a range of assignments to make sure that students are receiving feedback in a timely manner. And we also have peer instructional teaching assistants who have taken the class previously and want to support the students that are currently in the class. As a community-based participatory researcher myself, there is a synergy between my research and teaching this course. I'm able to build relationships with community agencies through my research while also sharing the findings of my research as it pertains to this course, and then of course also having students engage in my research as well. The CSU and SJSU really value community engagement, and this is often reflected positively in my retention, promotion, and tenure feedback. What is so gratifying about this work is the transformational learning and meaningful community contributions. Many students report increased confidence and a stronger sense of purpose and desire to work in community health after taking this course. Projects often support ongoing initiatives and expand organizational capacity for our preceptors. This work, of course, does not come without navigating challenges for the instructional team, students, and preceptors. Students must adapt to ambiguity, timelines, and organizational needs. Preceptors need to make sure they have someone to oversee the students and provide direction. Sometimes we find that we can no longer work with preceptors if they no longer are able to provide this oversight and mentorship. Since all public health students have to take this class, we have some students that do not do well in groups or more organized settings. So we need to make sure that we have a backup plan in case a student is not able to complete their hours with their group and agency. Along with those challenges, though, we are constantly learning from our experiences and making improvements each semester. Students also have the opportunity to evaluate themselves, their teams, and their preceptor as another layer of critical reflection. The preceptors also reflect on their experience with the students and if any improvements need to be made in future semesters, and data and feedback from course improvements create stronger partnerships and lead to more student skills. Ultimately, we are preparing the future community health leaders. Often, the CSL experience can turn into internship opportunities and sometimes even a career in community health. Since 2018, we have placed over 1,000 students in over 30 different community placements. I would love to absolutely, we'll have questions afterwards for the Q&A period. I want to just thank you, a big thank you, of course, to my past, current, and future students, my community partners, my instructional team, and of course, the Center for Community Learning and Leadership. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation.
All right, we're turning it over to Dr. Chen.
All right, let me share my screen. And thank you so much, Vicky, and thank you, Andrea. Okay, can everybody see my screen? All right. Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Chen, and I am a professor of communication studies at CSU Channel Islands. Today, I'm going to talk about the service learning collaboration between my health communication classes and the Sadekoi Full Hub in advancing food sovereignty in the community. So Sadekoi is a small unincorporated area in Ventura County in California. The community faces many different challenges, including food insecurity or food apartheid, as our community partner likes to call it. The reason that it's an apartheid is because Sadekoi is literally separated by a wall from the city of Ventura. And if you've been to the city of Ventura, it's a really beautiful coastal town that's really well resourced. It has all the major grocery stores. It has a weekly farmers market. In Sadekoi, however, there's no grocery store, and the community is served by 3 corner stores only. So our partner is actually a relatively new organization established in 2022 to really address the issue of access to healthy, affordable food in the local community. And my classes began partnering with them soon after their establishment in fall 2023. I'm doing community-based research to first inform the organization's programming and then help them evaluate the impact of their programming on the local community. So when we started collaborating in fall 2023, we conducted field observations in the community and also 2 focus groups, one in Spanish and one in English with local residents, to learn about the food shopping patterns among local residents, their current levels of knowledge regarding community gardening, and also their current use of community gardens. And also, most importantly, the partner really wants to assess the cultural relevance of the USDA Community Food Security Assessment Toolkit. So just to give you some context, this toolkit was developed in the early 1990s, mostly based on the European American diet, So the toolkit contains about 10 different food categories, and under each category, they list about half a dozen most commonly utilized and most affordable ingredients that can be used to make a healthy meal at home. But in my communication with the partner, we realized this toolkit might not be most culturally relevant for the community that we are serving because more than 80% of the residents in Satakoy are Latinx. So we realized a lot of the items that commonly consumed by the local residents were not in the toolkit. For example, under canned vegetables and fruits, there's no beans. Under breads and grain products, there's no tortilla. So based on the feedback that we received from the focus group, we modify the USDA toolkit. And then my students took the modified toolkit out to survey the 3 local corner stores in Satakoy. So the 3 Amigos, Yaros, and Country Mart. We also added a section to the toolkit. So we wanted to also survey how available and affordable, for lack of better word, junk foods are in the local community. So we had categories like snacks, beverages, and also liquor. So this is some of the results from our survey, and unsurprisingly, fresh fruit and vegetables and canned fruits and vegetables were not widely available in the corner stores. And when they were available, they were being sold at a much higher price than what you could get at a large grocery store. And of course, snacks, junk foods, and beverages that are soft drinks or liquor were widely available and very affordable in the corner stores. So this data really confirmed the daily experiences of the local residents. But now we have quantitative numbers that our partner can fold into their grant applications to foundations, to policymakers, to really illustrate the need for an organization like theirs to be there to support the local community. Then in fall 2024, my other health communication class and me, we collaborated with the Satakoy Food Hub again. This time, we were helping them evaluate the impact of their different initiatives on the community, especially the Satakoy Sours program. So the Satakoy Sours program is an 8-week bilingual program that teaches local residents how to grow produce in their backyards. And how to compost and use those produce not only just for dietary needs, but also for medicinal purposes. And this really speaks to what the Satakoy Food Hub is trying to do in the community. It would be nice if a major grocery store can come to the community, but they also want to cultivate a sense of self-reliance, sustainability, and sovereignty among local residents, where if they can grow their own food in their backyard, and if they can exchange the surplus food from their backyard with neighbors and support each other, it will really create a very self-sustainable local food system. So my students and I conducted a total of 6 one-on-one interviews in the community, 3 in Spanish and 3 in English. And based on the focus of the interviews that we conducted, my students conducted thematic analysis and developed a number of recommendations in terms of how the program was working well, what could be improved upon, what were some of the barriers for the graduates from the programs to implement what they learn in their daily lives, and how could we extend the outreach to beyond usually the people who participated tend to be retired seniors, but they really wanted to reach out to the younger generation to encourage a broader segment of the community to participate. So my students conducted analysis. They presented their final recommendations in a final presentation and also in written reports to our community partner. So I just want to end my presentation with some reflections and quotations from my students. I think those really speak to the power of service learning as a pedagogical tool. It really, beyond teaching students research skills, knowledge in health communication, it teaches them about their own local community. It also teaches them about the complex social political factors that lead to a lot of the problems we see in the surface. But also, they empower our students to develop an interest and a motivation to become civically engaged in their community at school and beyond. And it also shows them how powerful when a community works together to strengthen their asset and to support each other, how powerful that could be in making a difference. So with that, I would like to end my presentation. And the Static Joyful Hub has a lot of wonderful reports and publications that you can access online. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions and get connected after. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nancy and Vicky. That was wonderful. And I love the perspective it had for me was that showing the scale. It's like this is a one class that a whole class can focus on a project. And then you could have a huge class with a ton of different projects, and they're both valuable and important. And I also love that they show the different levels on the community engaged learning tool and taxonomy that we've been using since 2020 now in the CSU system. I want to open it up for questions. If anybody, attendees, have questions, please raise your hand and we will invite you to ask them. But oh, Harold, okay, we're going to let you take it away.
Well, first of all, I want to thank both presenters. Those very inspiring, and you guys are doing great work. And I think this one is geared mostly towards Vicky, but Nancy, you might want to chime in as well. I'm thinking about just setting this up. And Vicky, in your case, you're working with, I don't know, a whole bunch of different organizations. And on top of that, you've got this sort of selection sorting procedure. I'm wondering administratively, how is that set up? So do you get assigned time to create those relationships and to coordinate, or how does that all work?
Harold, that is a great question. Thank you so much. I always say that teaching this class is, it's harder than just teaching a regular class, right? Because there is all that logistical coordination and we do not get any assigned time for it. It's just something that I'm just doing on a yearly basis, just, because again, at least it's a part of my research. So there's synergy there, right? Because I'm already connecting with communities, but it happens like year round. I'm constantly having to foster these relationships and we've gotten really good. Now we have this whole Google form system. We've kind of like really learned how to navigate it and how to, if we give them 5 choices, folks can usually get into their top 2 choices, but it takes like a couple hours just at the beginning of each semester to be able to sort that out and make sure that we're placing students where they would like to be placed. We also ask them, what is a place that you absolutely would not like to be placed? Because I think that is important as well. But it's a lot of logistics and we unfortunately don't usually get compensated. The fact that I even have a co-instructor now that helps me with the CSL, I used to have to do it all by myself, is really amazing. So she gets 1 unit. She helps me out with the 1 unit. It's a 4-unit class. I get the 3 units. She gets the 1. But I'm still doing a lot of that same work. But now at least there's somebody else to bounce ideas off of. But great question. Thank you so much, Harold.
Christina, go ahead.
This is sort of a follow-up to that same kind of topic. Vicky, you mentioned it, but I'd love to hear from both of you. Do you have any advice for how you might make a case for this sort of extra work in your RTP files? Because as you were just mentioning, Vicky, it's a lot of work. It's sort of beyond the standard teaching. Do you two have any advice for faculty that may be applying for promotion or tenure to make that case for these types of service learning classes?
Thanks so much, Christina. That's another great question. Again, I think we're really fortunate in the CSU system that it really does value that community engagement aspect. I know San Jose in particular, I mean, we have Communiversity, we have the center that Andrea comes from, like we're really fostering those collaborations. So I feel like when you can demonstrate that impact, right, that we have reached over like 1,000 students, that students are getting internships, are getting those valuable, workforce development skills, right? When you can demonstrate the impact of what you're doing, then I feel that that makes a really strong case, and they really celebrate that here, which is wonderful. But you are right, because it is something that you have to do for your own time. I'm always finding ways, excuse me, to find that synergy between my teaching, my research, and my service so that they all can combine. so that there can be seen impact in all of those things. But I hope that at your campus they also value that community engagement, component as well. Nancy?
Yeah, I can speak to the campus where Christina and I both come from. I think we are lucky also, our university really values high impact practices like service learning. And we have a Center for Community Engagement that has really been facilitating the creation of the different relationships with community partners. And so in addition to that, we actually have an online journal focusing on community-based research on our campus. And a number of different faculty members and community partners serve as reviewers for the journal. So I've actually published one of my projects in the journal, and the journal has a different flair than your strictly academic journal, because it's as much about theory about as much about application, right? Because that's what a lot of those projects are about. So we have different criteria for doing peer review, but I think our university also value the publications that you have in this online journal as part of your research and creative activities. And in terms of teaching, service learning is very valued on our campus. We have different mechanisms to support service learning. In the past, I've been doing service learning for as long as I have been at CSUCI, since 2014. In the beginning, it was usually application, more practical projects. But then I went through this community-based research fellowship program on campus, which is a 1-year training to train you how to do community-based research and to kind of draw your attention to some of the challenges and then solutions to those. So it's after that particular program, then I started doing community-based research in my service learning projects. And I think that was really helpful. And, by talking about this experience, it's part of your professional development, but then the outcome can also be folded into your teaching experience. And in terms of service, you build relationships with different community partners as you work on service learning projects. And some of them might invite you to join their board or to do other projects for them, right? So it's all interconnected, but it does take a little time to build that relationship, build that trust. But I think I feel fortunate that CSUCI really supports this type of work.
Thank you so much. I see one more hand and we have 2 minutes. So Sarah, please ask your question.
Hi, I actually have two questions, but I hope they're quick. One is that here, I'll put my video on. I'm just back from exercise class. So one, and this is for Vicky. Vicky, do you do the service work in the community alongside your students? Do you do it with them or not? And the other question is can you give us an idea of how many students don't show up for their work or don't fulfill their promise and complete their hours? Since it's an upper division class in their major, I'm pretty sure most of them do it, but if you could give us an idea about that, that would be helpful.
Sarah, that's a great question. So normally I do not, because that would be too many projects to be doing with them. There's not enough hours in the day, although I would love to, because I love the experience. But this particular semester, we did something different. We had a group from our class be a group for National Public Health Week. I helped to plan National Public Health Week at our university with a group every single spring. So this year I was a part of it. So we got to do a little mini health fair on campus that was very successful. We saw over 100 students, and that was fantastic. And then you're right. Sometimes we do have some students that don't fulfill their commitment. It's very rare, but every now and then, somebody won't pass the class because you have to show up. This is not a difficult class, but you have to do the work and you have to show up. So every now and then I have some students that don't meet the requirements and they have to take the class again. But that is very, very rare. So great questions. Thank you, Sarah.
And that takes us to time. I just want to thank both of our presenters for your expertise. I loved listening to you. And thank you, everyone, for attending. We hope you will join the next session.
Thank you.